Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Cleopatra here. And as always, this video is for educational purposes only. We have a very special guest today. We have Leah Getz here with us, and she's going to share about her experience doing not just the trimester protocol at the Fertility and Pregnancy Institute, but using fertility epigenetic tailoring to individualize her trimester protocol for her and for her partner, who happens to be male. So for her husband in this case. So Leah, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited for you to be here.
Thanks. I'm happy to share, excited to share with people because this has meant so much to me. And I'm just happy to be able to share the message with everyone else.
Thank you. I know it's been so beautiful to watch you and your evolution over these months, and really the evolution, the transformation has been really, really incredible and profound in just a few short months. I can see it all over you. I can see it in how you feel. And do you want to, Leah, would you give a little bit of background about where you were when you came into working with the Fertility and Pregnancy Institute and trimestering with us specifically?
Yeah. So I was definitely not looking to get pregnant or do anything with fertility. I'd been married for 16 years, had one positive pregnancy test during those 16 years. And that same day of the positive, I started my period. And we've been through a lot on a medical perspective. We adopted my 6-year-old at birth, and then now a 3-year-old as well. And from that point forward, that door was definitely shut. It was not that emotional roller coaster, and not having answers. And I had just closed that door. It was incredibly painful, and I had moved on. My body though was not healthy, and I think I wasn't. All of those years of not getting pregnant was a result of my body not being healthy, but that was starting to catch up with me, and my endometriosis was becoming really debilitating to me, like knocking me out completely for a week every 4 weeks, right? And as an entrepreneur and as a mom, that was unacceptable. It was, really not allowing me to live my life and to do what I wanted to do. I was doing ibuprofen, 800 milligrams every 6 hours around the clock for 5 days, and like sleeping nonstop. And it was just really bad. And so really good friend of mine ran into Dr. Cleopatra and had kind of talked to her about my situation. And she begged me to talk to Dr. Cleopatra. And I was like, sure, honey. Like, I had no desire to. I did not want to talk to her. I was like, I've moved on. This is done. I started trying to conceive when I was 20. I got married really young. So I was 21 when I started trying, and I'm almost 35. Like, this has been a journey. And but because of the girl, who she was, and sort of some kind of God signs going on, I was like, fine, I'll talk to her, whatever. Like, it was like checking a box off of a list and not actually caring to speak to her in any way. Which is funny now because she's completely changed my life.
It makes me cry. And I can remember that first call.
Yeah. So. I know. And then we got on the phone. It was like an hour and a half later. I was bawling, and I had never met someone. And I've done business. I was a nurse. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I can read people well, like especially on the phone. And there was never anyone I'd ever trusted from the depth that I trusted her immediately. And because of that trust, because of what I heard and I felt from her, I was willing to open that wound that was so scarred over and so painful, and have that conversation of, do we still want to have a biological child? And it was really, really, really scary to go there. But even just from a logical perspective, I knew I had to do something because my endometriosis just kept getting worse. And I was already healthy. Like,
Yes.
Think about the average American person and how they eat and how they treat their body. I was doing way above and beyond what the average person does. And I thought I was doing the right things and I thought I was taking care of myself, and it kept getting worse. And so I was like, well, let's do it. Let's proceed with this. And worst case scenario, I get healthier. My endometriosis gets bad, even if we don't have a baby. Because at that point, I couldn't even believe that it was possible.
Yeah.
And that's when we started working with Dr. Cleopatra, and the world changed.
I just want to say thank you so much for trusting me and entrusting me with this really special and important part of your life. And I feel that way with every person with whom I work, every family with whom I work. And there's something really special about this situation because that door was closed and locked, and you trusted me enough that you were willing to open it again, even though it brought up a lot of pain with it. And so thank you so much for trusting me and for the honor of being with you in this time. It has been so incredible and on your journey with you. And I want you to say more, Leah, for the people who are listening about the ways in which you were already taking such incredible care of your health. You're already really knowledgeable about health. You already go above and beyond what the average person does, the average American lifestyle looks like. And yet there was so much in your body that wasn't working well for you, that wasn't in its peak state and its peak health, and certainly was contributing to the fertility challenges you experienced over those 15 plus years. But also now we're beginning to catch up with you in terms of your endometriosis and just inflammation in other ways in your gums and other parts, your sinuses and other parts of you. But I think a lot of people feel like, well, I already know so much about nutrition. I already live so clean. I already know not to use plastics around my food, and think that the Primester protocol and what we do is just going to be a repeat of that and not take them any higher. So can you say a little bit about what you were already doing and how this was different for you?
Yeah,
Is different.
absolutely. Because I was like, my family, family of origin already thought I was nuts because we didn't do Tupperware. I had no plastic. I had learned about exoestrogens and how it could affect my hormones and my endometriosis. So that was long gone. We had stainless steel pots and pans. I had a Kangen water machine for ionized, alkalized water. I had, I was on keto, a ketogenic diet, clean keto for 2.5 years, organic and when at all possible. Like I was already healthy, but my body wasn't healthy. But I was doing everything that I was intermittent fasting. I was doing all of these things, but I had horrible allergies. Todd and I, right before Edmund was born 6 years ago, we moved from Florida to Oklahoma to do a homestead. And we had this vision because my grandparents did that. And I thought it would just be so romantic and like we'd have this, awesome life. Well, I ended up getting really, really bad allergies, being out surrounded by all these grasses. And I had to hide inside. So I was doing allergy shots. I was doing all these things, and they couldn't even get me to the therapeutic range of the allergy shot levels because I was so allergic. I had huge reactions every time I had a shot. I was super when they tested me, like 10 out of 10 for grasses. Like it was really bad. And I got asthma and all of this. And so I was on, Zyrtec daily. I was on Singular. I had my inhaler. I had all of this stuff going on. Even though I was healthy, I had a lot of inflammation and things happening. Then
we have a visitor. Hi, sweetheart.
The big one's at judo right now, but this guy's.
That's awesome. Hi, cutie.
Yeah, because brother's not home, so you can watch whatever you want, huh? Yeah, go watch Wings. You got it. So I was struggling a lot. I also had pretty bad gum disease, and I was like, I'm like your type A personality. I was always the one that brushed my teeth the best, but I always had the worst cavities. Whenever the family went to go get things, I always had them in most cavities and stuff. And this last summer, they actually said you have gum disease, and I had to get a procedure where they're doing a deep cleaning underneath the gums, and they're injecting antibiotics and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm too young to have my teeth rotting. And so all of that, I would like, there was a lot of signs that there was something not healthy deeper. Right. And once I started the protocol, I dove in hard with everything
He did
to do
all in, which I love so much.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because I started, things take time for your body to catch up, but I started realizing I was missing. I was doing Flonase daily too. And so I went off the Zyrtec right away, and pretty soon I wasn't even doing the Flonase anymore. And I was fine. Like, I didn't have all the pressure, and it was really a big issue because what would happen is I would have allergies causing sinus issues, which would lead to a sinus infection, which would then drain down into my lungs, which would lead to an asthma flare, which would end up towards pneumonia. And then I'd be on steroids, and it was like this big thing. And part of why we moved out of Oklahoma. And I'm not taking anything at all for allergies right now, like zero. Like no Flonase, no Zyrtec, no Singulair.
Huge. My dad had terrible asthma, so I understand.
And I don't even know where my inhaler is. Like,
I love it. So good. So good.
So that's really big. They put me on like every 3-month cleanings and checkups at the dentist. And so I went in a couple months after I had started the protocol, and the guy was like, because I had seen him right before I started the protocol, and then I saw him, a few months in, and he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is totally different. Like, he did the measurements, where they stick the thing in and see how deep he goes, your numbers are reversing across your mouth. You don't need any antibiotics. You don't need any, like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I was like, wow.
The recession was reversing in your gums. Yeah. So incredible.
It was healing itself. And I was like, I'm not flossing more. I'm not brushing more. It's my body is healthier, and it's healing itself, and it's working like it's supposed to work, which is really cool.
It is so, so cool. And it shows you so beautiful. I always say to you every time I see you, I'm like, you look younger than you looked last week. It's like incredible. It makes me so happy. And you're glowing and you're radiant. And those examples that you gave are really just the external transformation. There's been such an incredible internal transformation in you, and your peace and your fearlessness. I won't share for you, but just to watch your blossoming has been so incredible. And I think it's hard for us to express when we say in the Prime Minister protocol, we take a systems approach to fertility. So we address every part of you and every part of your health and every part of your life and your relationships. And we work at the 5 levels of the fertility triangle. And there's nowhere else in the world that people do that, or that any organization or center or clinic does that. And yet I still think that it's hard for people to understand that. Is there any way that you can put into words what that difference has been, and how that complete systems approach has made a difference for this outer and inner transformation for you?
Right. So it's definitely, the physical aspect is huge, but I have changed as a person and who I am. I'm just your typical, like, type A go-getter, like, take on too much, stress, control, like, that's just me. Like, that's how I'm wired and what I've always been. And I've been able to slow down and enjoy life and have peace at a level that I've never experienced before. And I'm a very faithful and religious person, but I've been able to take that to another level as well, a more intimate level, as part of this journey. And it has helped me grow spiritually. It's helped me, our relationship has improved drastically, and in ways that I never knew was possible. And I've just, like, how I see things and how I understand people and everything is totally different. Like, and especially where the world is right now and the chaos going on outside, I'm I'm just blessed that I've been through this transformation to be where I am. Otherwise, I'd probably have gone crazy by now. Like,
Yeah.
with all the chaos and everything in the world. I'm just peace and gratitude and love. Like that's, in all areas.
Yeah, that's so much what we teach, right? And especially starting with giving that to ourselves in preparation for bringing our babies through and having that in our relationship with our partner, if we have one, or who the partner we're calling in, and in society as a whole. That is so much what we're about. So you did the Primester protocol,
Mhm.
which is the standard approach to fertility that we take at the Fertility and Pregnancy Institute.
Mhm.
And in the Primester protocol, we are working to create epigenetic change the quality of our genes, the way our genes express themselves, because that's what we're passing down to our babies and our grandbabies. But that's also what's creating our reproductive health, our fertility, and our reproductive aging status. So we are working to reverse reproductive aging and overcome fertility challenges. And in the Primester protocol, we use systems and practices at each level of the fertility triangle that are going to create positive epigenetic change across the board for people, regardless of their unique DNA or their unique genome. But we also have the ability to tailor the Primester protocol to your and your partner's unique DNA using something called Fertility Epigenetic Tailoring, where we do this very unique testing. We map out your genome, and then we can tailor the practices in the standard Primester protocol to be specific to you and to your partner to create even more positive epigenetic change. And it's amazing, not just for your fertility, but then you use it for your whole life, because it will also contribute to your longevity and helping to protect against any kinds of diseases and disorders that your genome may predispose you to. Remember, our DNA or our genes, they're not our fate. They just may predispose us to things, and then we can affect that expression of those DNA to help prevent that we get those things as we age, etc. So can you talk about your experience doing fertility epigenetic tailoring and how profound adding that layer of personalization and customization for you and Todd, your husband, has been for working on for your Primester?
Yeah. It's been a huge experience. I don't think I had very high expectations going into it because I was already doing so much and I'd already seen so many changes.
Yes.
But I was like, okay, well, what the heck? Let's do it. And so
Yes.
I did. And I'm so glad that we did. From my husband's perspective, he's been on the journey with the protocol off and on, taking on some of it, but his consistency and different things have been off and on.
Mhm.
And for him to have the data black and white of this for you is really good and this for you is really risky, it can lead to this, has allowed him to get real. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like to get really real on
Yeah.
how he treats his body, because these are the direct effects you're facing based on the actions that you're taking.
Mhm.
For myself, it was huge because, like I said, I'd been on a ketogenic diet for 2.5 years. And that is a healthy diet and it is a good diet. And for the general population, it's amazing. But it turns out I have some specific genes that require complex carbohydrates. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are those? I haven't had
Yeah.
those in years.
Yes.
So I'm reintroducing, sweet potatoes and doing all this kind of stuff. And I'm changing. And for some people, you might not think that's a huge thing. But honestly, it's been 3 years that I have eaten differently to optimize my health. But in reality, with my specific DNA, it wasn't as good as it should be. Like there's a healthier way for me that my body will react better to my weight, my inflammation, everything will work better. Even something as simple, like I have and it's funny, Todd actually has it too. And it's, I guess, kind of rare,
And
but
it's rare. Yes.
that makes eating nuts really bad.
Mhm.
Like, and puts us at much higher risk. And it's funny because I ate almond butter every day, like, because you kind of get into a routine, and if it's easy and simple, you just do it. And so I was eating a ton of almond butter, and in reality, it could have killed me in the long run. Like,
Hi, Henry.
not right now, I'm on a call. Okay. And so I you know how you always kind of think and process things, and just that one fact may be the reason behind my entire journey.
And
Like,
may have contributed significantly to the
yeah.
information.
And it may be because I try to, the spider web of time and, causality. Like, maybe I needed to go through this entire journey and this entire process so that I could learn that, because maybe I was going to die at 50 because I kept doing what I thought was healthy, but for my body, it wasn't, and it was dangerous for me. And so, that it's crazy. I've only gone through halfway through the counseling sessions and stuff with her. But it's powerful. It is so empowering to know not just what the general health guidelines are, because I was doing that, but my specifics, like what actually works for me, and getting it fine-tuned to optimal, to reach my optimal health, my optimal fertility. And I mean, Todd and I both are very happy with it. And we're even talking like, okay, once the kids get a little older, like we have to do this for the children.
Totally.
Like,
I agree. I'm with it too with my kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, cause once we have our super baby, we can kind of guess what their situation is going to be. But for our first two, especially, we need to get genetic testing done.
Exactly.
Just so they have that empowerment on how to be healthy and how to best care for their body, which I think is so powerful.
It is so powerful. We have such a clear understanding that no two individuals are alike in so many other ways, and their gifts and their struggles and their mental health. And I think we forget that even when we have some general guidelines, that if you follow them, you'll be way better off than you were before. You'll be way better off than 99.9% of the world's population. And still, if you can customize your protocol to your unique DNA, that is such an incredible advantage. And we always talk about, we want to give ourselves and our babies that unfair advantage in life. We want them to have that. We want every baby to have that. And it's so powerful. So for example, one of the things Leah talked about being on a ketogenic diet and how her DNA actually call for some complex carbohydrates. And it's in the Primester protocol and in the Institute, we teach the minimalist approach to food. And one of the things that we teach for most people is to eat a diet that is high in fats, moderate in protein, and low in carbohydrates. And the reason why we do that is because for most people, having very stable blood sugar, having healthy insulin levels, lowering their insulin resistance, and all of these things have become more and more of a problem in Western society, contribute in very important ways to fertility. We know that fats are really important for fertility and pregnancy. We know that proteins are also really important for fertility and pregnancy. And at the same time, we know that in the process, when we're primestering, and this is distinct from when we actually are pregnant, that part of the process of reversing aging and reversing reproductive aging is having slightly lower levels of proteins and amino acids. Once you get closer to your PCD, your projected conception date, and once you're in pregnancy, then you're going to increase your protein intake. And Leah, you also have DNA that make you have slightly lower needs for protein than average. But even with those DNA during pregnancy, you're going to go closer to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then once you give birth, you'll go back to having that closer to 80 grams, which is, I think, if I remember off the top of my head, approximately what you need, right? And so we have these general recommendations that apply across the board for the vast majority of people, and yet we can still do even better when we know what your unique DNA are. I think also, if I'm remembering off the top of my head correctly, that you do better. Usually we teach a combination of, so we want your diet to be ample and good, healthy fats. And we usually teach a combination of saturated fats and unsaturated fats. And I believe you have DNA that make it better for you to not have as much saturated fat. So you want to keep yours to like less than 10%. Am I right about that?
That's Todd. Yeah.
Oh, that's Todd, not you. Okay. Yes. So that's another thing, another place where you can see that there's the base level of the trimester protocol, what applies to the vast majority of people and gives the largest return on people's efforts. And then when we have their unique genome, we can tailor it even more, and it's so powerful. Then I think you also learned some important things about sleep for Todd. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell if you don't mind telling a little. And also, Todd's not here to share his own story. So, to the extent that it would
My husband has been a night owl since I've known him. According to his parents, since he was a baby, his mom would stay up late with her on his back, and she'd be doing stuff. She was, I don't know, stringing tennis rackets or some side job she had. So she'd be up late.
That's incredible. I didn't know
so they said that's why he was always up all night. And so he had, from high school, like he'd go to school, he'd come home, he'd take a long nap, then he'd be up all night playing video games or basketball and then do it again. And he's had this really unhealthy sleep cycle. And with kids and working from home with an online business, he definitely has fallen into that again because it's quiet. I mean, I get it. If I allowed myself to, I would be doing the same thing because it's quiet, focused work time. However, she was going through the results and I sat in on his and I just burst out laughing because he's actually genetically a morning person.
I was like, thank goodness. I'm so happy.
I just started laughing and she was kind of looking at me and I was, see? So he's working on that.
So awesome. That's so good. So these are just some examples of the things that you can take away from doing the fertility epigenetic tailoring and really upgrade your epigenetics even more and your fertility and your longevity even more beyond what we do in the trimester protocol. And so I wanted Leah to come and share about her experience because I know how valuable it is to hear from somebody else. Leah, what would you love for, if there's anyone out there who's watching this and they're feeling really, we have two segments of people who could be watching this, who are watching this. One is a segment of people who are what we call at the FPI, the Fertility and Pregnancy Institute, in the future mamas. So they haven't yet started trying for their babies, but they know that they want to have children in the future. It's an important part of what they've always wanted for themselves and how they see their future. And so they want to come and start trimestering and start learning how to take care of and preserve their fertility and extend and ignite it as much as possible so that it's there for them when they're ready. And then we have another group of people, and this is the majority of the people who have been trying and it hasn't happened as quickly or as easily as they thought it would. That's what we call the conceiving mommy, the woman who's actively trying for her baby now. And so if we have an either an in the future or conceiving mommy who's watching and feeling really afraid or even feeling a little bit hopeless or a lot hopeless about the possibility of having their baby, their super baby, because either they've been trying for a long time and it hasn't been happening, and maybe they feel like they've tried everything and nothing has worked, and so they fear that nothing will ever work for them. And for the in the future mommies, some of them feel really afraid and low or lacking in hope too, because they're afraid they'll have fertility challenges. They don't know when it'll be the right time. They don't know when they'll have the right conditions in terms of a partner or finances or other things. And we actually know that 2 out of every 3 millennials are concerned about having fertility challenges in the future. So this is something that even for people who haven't yet started trying for their babies is really weighing on the minds of women. So given those two types of mamas who are listening, what would you say to someone if they're feeling afraid or hopeful about, or pardon me, hopeless about having their yummy super baby?
For the mom who's a future mom, mama, I would definitely honestly congratulate her for taking some action, because I think we live in this world that it's like fertility is like a hidden like thing, like it's just supposed to work, and either it works or it doesn't work. And there's such a lack of control and a lack of the feeling like you can do anything about it. And the reality is you can do something about it. Like, you are fully empowered. You can go through the protocol. You can do what Dr. Cleopatra teaches, and you can stay fertile. You can become as healthy and fertile as possible. And I wish like we had run into each other 10 years ago or better, you know, and we had all of these years of not even just being fertile, but being healthy.
Yeah.
And having gone through that experience. So I would encourage the future mamas to take action right away and to take control, and don't just sit back and let time and society tell you what's normal or what to do. Like, you can do this. Like, it is fully open to you. You have steps that you can take to stay fertile and to prepare yourself, prepare your body, prepare for your baby. And I just highly encourage future mamas to get serious and do it, because it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful journey, and you're going to love it, and you're going to feel better, and it's going to set you up for the family that you long for in the future.
Thank you for that. So true and so beautiful. Yeah. We want our in the future mamas to know about this opportunity and this power that they have, and start utilizing it as early in their reproductive spans as possible, so that time doesn't decide for them what family and what life they get to have. We want them to have the family and the life that they want. So yes, I second, third, fifth what Leah said. Thank you. Yeah.
For the mamas that have struggled with fertility, my heart aches for you. I've been in that place of pain and that roller coaster for a very long time, but it's not where you have to stay. And there is hope. I believe and I feel like the traditional medical route that I went down, and I went far down. I found people like that most people couldn't find. And I went down that route, and it failed me still. And there's the medical route failed me. I was already healthy, doing healthy things, taking care of myself and doing all of this stuff. And I still wasn't happening. And it was this black hole of pain and something I just had to ignore. Otherwise it wasn't going to happen, or otherwise it would eat me up. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. We don't apologize here. Hi, sweetheart. I know Mama, we'll wrap up soon so you can have Mommy back.
Okay, go play with that. Thank you. You can choose what you want.
Thanks for sharing Mommy with us for a little while, big man.
But the medical world failed me. I couldn't find, you can't find this stuff anywhere else. And there is hope, and there's so much more that you can do, and you can feel better, and you can have a plan, and it can still happen for you. Yeah. And I think like that's like, I truly believe, that I am going to have my baby girl. I see her. I see doing the ultrasound. I hold her. I know that she's coming. And after 16 years of pain and fear and not this unknown and this lack of control and this like never dealing with the underlying issues. Like, I could bypass my fertility, like just do IVF, just do this. It wouldn't have fixed anything. I couldn't have kept the baby. Like, none of that would have worked because it didn't fix the underlying issues. there's so much hope and there's so much more that you can do. And it's just in front of you. Like, just like if I could get on a mountaintop and just scream this out to the world that this is an option, that you can do this, that this works, and that there's hope, I would do it. Like, it's so powerful. And there is hope. There's an option for you to take. There are concrete steps you can follow that can lead you to your super baby. And I want the world, like, I promote her everywhere. I talk about her all the time. I help people find her because this is life changing. The world will change because I'm going to have my daughter. And
True.
That's amazing. And so I want to encourage you not to give up. I want to encourage you to take control of your health and your future and go all in. Like, just commit to the process, commit to the growth and everything that goes with it, because you can do it. That baby is there for you if you're willing to take those steps and to, you know, step out in faith on this journey. It's scary at first, and then, you know, it's like debriding a wound, right? Like, your kid gets all skunned up and it's going to hurt to clean it out, but once you clean that out, it's going to heal beautifully. There'll be no scar tissue. Like, that's what, yes, it's painful at the beginning, but you're just at the beginning, and it can create something so beautiful, and change the world in the process.
Yeah. I feel like I've been sitting here ugly crying, everybody. So sorry. I think, you know, most of you who know me know that I lost my mom at birth, and that's how I got here today. And when I look at you and I listen to you, then I feel that everything that I've been through had purpose, and that all of these years and hours that I spent in the lab and behind the computer and away from the world just all make the most perfect sense. And I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing so gorgeously and graciously and generously. I know it makes such a big difference to people to get to hear from you and to hear that there is hope.
Thank you. I love you so much for everything.
I love you so much too, Leah. Thank you everybody for being here. I wasn't monitoring questions because I was so engrossed in the conversation. So we'll go back and we'll check if there are questions that need to be answered. And also, you can feel free to message us if you have questions. Leah, I feel like we could have done this for another hour, although I'm sure Henry would not appreciate it at all.
You'd be climbing up on me.
Yeah, exactly. But I would love to invite you back to talk more, and I cannot wait to celebrate your baby girl with you. I love you both and all so much. Thank you all for being here, and please send some love to Leah in the comments. Thank you, Leah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Leah.
Bye.